1121. Unfriended. Took me several months, but I have just unfriended on my personal social media Facebook account 1,121 or so friends. People, it's been a fascinating process. You know, I say frequently on my own best case study, I share with you all the time what happens in my life as a case study. I examine myself. If you read the book, The Happiness Formula, there's a chapter in here where I tell you, be your own best case study. Be honest, gut-wrenchingly honest about who you are. Again, if you have the capacity to implement the formula. I think that's what happens. When you have the formula in your life, you can be your own best case study and get a ton of research. So, social media, because we have been enslaved, imprisoned in our homes for the past year, welcome to the 1-year anniversary to 14 days to flatten the curve. Thanks be to God, Texas got a brain and did away with the mandates for masks. Because we have been imprisoned in our homes, and majority of y'all won't leave, and I can't go to a restaurant and meet with you anyway, we've connected on Facebook. For those of you, I'm an extreme extrovert. It is easy for me to connect. It is a joy for me to connect. For a lot of you folks, this was indeed the only way that you suddenly got into the lives of people because you are an introvert more. You don't connect. You are more judicious with who you friend. I was, as someone gave me a term recently, a social media whore, a social whore. Kind of hate that term, but I kind of would accept requests from anybody. I was like, sure, whatever, why not? Let's be friends. Well, what you found, what many of us have found, and what certainly came out over the election was the venom that the inability for people to dialogue at an appropriate level. Basically, the revelation of how low our collective emotional quotient is, just how absolutely low it is, and very clearly our lack of God quotient. But absolutely, the ability to dialogue well with another human being in disagreement, yeah, y'all, in all due respect, woo! Y'all need to work on that. So what happened is a lot of you actually left Facebook. You tried to find other social media platforms to join, and then many of y'all are coming back because a bunch of us did not leave. I chose not to leave, but what I did choose to do was look at how am I using this tool? What does it really mean to me? Why do I have over 2,500 friends? And honestly, I stopped paying attention to the number. After I hit about 2,500, I was actually kind of shocked I got to 2,500. I thought, how did I get this high? That's a lot of people to me. Let's be real clear. The average human, research proves, the average human cannot really engage with more than about 100, 150. So let's just cut the middle. We'll say 125. Between 100 and 150, 125. Most of us cannot engage with more than about 125 people at a level that is a true friend, as a level that has some level of intimacy, as a level that has some relevance of relationship. The rest is just random acquaintances. And so when I looked at my Facebook page and realized, I think I was inching up on, who knows, 2,600, 2,700, 28, 29, 1,000. I don't know. I don't even know where the number went. All I know is I realized I have no idea who these people are. And now a lot of people are arguing. Like I am seeing all this argumentation. And I thought, wow, my news feed, is it that I have a bunch of really mean people in my friend circle? Is it that we just as a society are ridiculously low in our EQ, that we have the inability to disagree with dignity and decorum? What is this? And so I started looking at my news. I started looking at my friends. And I actually used an application. I found an app that somebody else talked about it that lets you see in the past month, or you can do a time frame, who is active and who is inactive. And inactive means they've had not one reaction in terms of an emoji, right? They haven't clicked like, love, wow, angry, sad. They haven't clicked one of the emotions. So they haven't clicked once. They haven't commented once and they haven't shared once. So there's not one interaction for at least a month, if not longer. So I used this app. I use this app to look at my friends and see who's consistently not interacting with me. I learned a ton about who I am, what's important, the case study, right? So I want to share with you what I learned over these past few months. And these are just some of my learnings. These are some just random, there's no order here. There's just thoughts. Someone asked a very good question. Have you noticed your news feed change? Have you noticed the level of interaction change? And the really awesome news is yes, like it's gotten better. Now, I don't know whether humanity suddenly got better. I don't know whether we all sort of developed a better EQ and we can respond better, or whether a lot of that negative vitriol and venom, they were people I didn't know. And maybe they just weren't the nicest people. So I got rid of them. So yes, my news feed, that's the one really kind of beautiful outcome is it seems to be a nicer place to go. People are still sharing information. They're still sharing their thoughts. They're still sharing their political views. They're still sharing their views on science and social issues, but they're doing it in such a mature way. And I think, oh, maybe these are the people that are my true friends. Mind you, they've been interacting with me, so they have an interest in my life. And therefore, I probably have some interest in theirs, which is why they're interacting. I don't really know. My point is this. My newsfeed has gotten nicer. My newsfeed is still informative. It's engaging. It's fun. And it's more lovely. Here's some things that I discovered about myself in the process, though, as I was making decisions. So again, I used the app to show me, and it just went from, A through Z, first name, if your name was, Althea or Alfredo or Alexis or whatever your first name was, all the way to Zeta and Zephany and Xavier, right? So it went all the way through first names. And I literally just kind of went a letter at a time and just sort of looked at the people. And so I did not automatically delete you, unfriend you if you had no response. Because there are some of you all who I really like what you have to say, even though you have zero interaction with my life. You like nothing I say, you comment never, you share never. I like what you put out there. And so I kept you. You're my friend, even if I'm not your friend. So there are people like that. I do have some people in my newsfeed who never interact with me, but I get pleasure, enjoyment, learning something out of it. There is something in it for me. With them, what's in it for me? There's some with them involved with the person. So that happens. There are a few people like that. They're not a lot like that, but there are a few. The times where I would found myself getting angry, which is really a secondary emotion, right? So what is anger really about? And really what it is kind of hurt. I felt hurt that there are some people that I apparently like a lot more than they like me because I interact a lot with them on their newsfeed, right? I'm commenting, I'm liking, I'm supporting them, saying, that's great, excellent, good dad, good mom, whatever I'm doing, right? And they never once comment, like, share anything of mine. And I'm like, how do I interact with you this much? Like, we have tons of dialogue on your newsfeed about your posts, but you never say anything about me. That was a bit of a bummer. Again, these are people who, these weren't like that category of I find you to be sort of an information source, and so I'm keeping you. These were just people who are just interesting to me. Again, I appear to like them more than they like me. That's kind of a bummer, right? My little heart kind of hurt at those times. And yes, I did find myself struggling to delete them. Here's what's fascinating. I struggled to delete them because here's what's crazy. So full disclosure, this is Cassandra being her own best case study. There was a part of me that thought, well, maybe if I interact a little more, they'll like me eventually, right? Oh, like that. I'm 51 years old, and that little feeling of, oh, maybe they'll like me if I just hang out enough and I'm cute and smile. I don't know. Just some really juvenile, immature, insecure thought ran through my brain. And I thought, oh, Lord Almighty, Cassandra. So that was one element of learning that I found fascinating, right? And another one that I found interesting, I actually wrote some notes down because another concern of mine that I thought was interesting that I, again, was not aware of, I was concerned that if I unfriended somebody, they would think I didn't like them. It wasn't that I didn't like them. Again, they have zero interaction with me. Apparently they're not remotely interested in interacting with my life. And so if I don't really have a relationship with you, all right, and again, you aren't someone who's part of that, you're my information source and I'm getting a lot out of you. There's with them. There isn't really, I'm not interacting on your post. Maybe you're obviously not interacting on mine. And so, I should just delete you and be over it. But I found it interesting that this case study of Cassandra, I found it interesting that I was concerned that if they discovered that I had unfriended them, they would think I wouldn't like them, that I didn't like them, and then they'd be mad at me. And so I'd have some random person out there thinking Cassandra's a jerk. But of course, they weren't going to be mature and, send me a message saying, hey, what happened? Why aren't we friends? I thought we were friends. They would just be out there hating me, And so here, Cassandra, again, this interesting little feeling of, oh gosh, someone's not going to like me and they're going to think bad thoughts about me. That was fascinating. It's fascinating to kind of process through that. And again, the then me dialoguing with myself through, well, gosh, but if they really wanted to be my friend, wouldn't they just reach out and say, hey, Cassandra, why aren't we friends? I actually have had people do that. They've reached out and say, why aren't we friends? I thought we were. I've probably only had, from this round of deleting or unfriending 1,121 people, I've had one person reach out. She was actually an A. I'd already gone through A through M. It was after I'd gone through the first half of the alphabet. She actually reached out and said, hey, I really want to be your friend. I saw you're deleting people. Apparently you deleted me because I don't ever get on Facebook. I get on there once in a while. But I want to be your friend. I want to see what you have to say. I value you. I appreciate you. And actually she's written to me in the past about how much she appreciates me. I'd forgotten that because, again, I have no interaction with her. And so I told her, I will never delete you again. I'll never delete you again. You don't have to worry about liking, sharing, or anything. Don't feel pressured to like and whatnot. It was beautiful that she reached out. So it's beautiful when someone reaches out, let you know how they feel about you. Because, again, this is somebody who apparently values me greatly and never responds, right? And so that's beautiful. And I guess my point is, it was an interesting to go through that cycle of what does it mean if I unfriend somebody? What are they thinking, in the world out there of the 8 billion people, this one little person, right? Cassandra's worried about this one little person. Of course, there's 1,121 people, but there's still 8 billion people in the world. 8 billion people in the world. I think if I deleted, unfriended 1,121, I'll be okay. I have friends on the Facebook still. Here's probably, I think this is probably the most embarrassing disclosure. So up until this point, I've told you some things about my insecurities, my weird old tapes that tell me, you're not worthy or whatever, right? Here is what I found most revealing about my inability at times. I had to think harder, should I delete this person or not? And so I apologize up front. I do, because this is a confession. This is one of the more, for me, you may hear what I'm going to say and think it means nothing. I'm embarrassed by what I'm about to say because I don't like this part of my personality. I know that God doesn't want this part of my personality because it's not part of God. It's the part that is judgmental. Now, if you know anything about brain codes, the Myers-Briggs, the E and the I, the N and the S, the T and the J, and the F and the P, I'm an ENTJ. I'm an extreme judger. I have great discernment, great judging abilities. I should have been a lawyer, been a judge, a politician even, right? I don't know about today's day and age of politician, but I have great discernment. I can discern, judge, make decisions that are very in line with sort of wise counsel. And so I'm thankful to God for that. When that discernment, when that judgment is not aligned with God, it then takes on the ugly form that most of you know what judgment is. I put people in little boxes and decide whether they're important, worthy. It's the ugliness of humanity that most of us don't like, because just the Lord tells us the same measure that you use to met out others, to vet others, is the measure that's being used to vet yourself. So as you're pointing at somebody else, remember there's 3 fingers pointing back. So as you're judging and as you're pointing, God's calling you. Are you sure that that's not you, right? So here's the confession. I was biased towards certain people based on who I thought they were in terms of their title or their connections or their monetary status or their popularity or some external measure of success, of importance. I had quite a few people on my friends list who I am only connected to because we had some business dealing, or because, again, there was some connection, some reason to connect that was semi-logical. And to me, these people, whether it's true or not, to me, these people had status, importance, whatever that means, whatever criteria I was using. And so I looked and realized that almost every single one of those people, them, the special people, right? The powerful people, the important people, the pretty people, give it a name. The popular people, the A crowd, what is the term? I realized the only reason I hesitated, and mind you, they've got a bunch of zeros. Zero response to any of my posts, 0 comments, 0 shares, like ever. I've never commented. And I didn't want to delete them. I was afraid that I would lose. It was like having an investment. You know, they tell you in business, don't ever throw away your Rolodex. Again, most of you don't know what a Rolodex is. I still have my old Rolodexes. Don't ever throw away a contact. You never know when you're going to need it. And so I got nervous, like, wow, Cassandra, you're only 51. You're not done serving the world. You're not done in business. What if you need these contacts? What if they could be the thing, the person to connect you? And there's some big names in there. There are names, if I told you, a lot of you would know those names, and not just because you're on you're one of my friends. They have some level of public acclaim. And you don't want to lose those. So yes, I did delete those, by the way. I did. And I'm sorry that I judged. I'm sorry that I did that. I am. Why am I apologizing to you who are listening to this? Because I don't want to be that type of person. I don't want to judge. Because if I'm judging these people as worthy, what's that mean? What does that mean I'm thinking about you? I mean, honestly, that means I'm judging others as less than worthy. I mean, goodness gracious, Cassandra. I mean, who the hell do I think I am? So here's the final lesson. And it's a perfect segue from what I just said. And I should have looked at the passage in the Bible, and I did not. But the Lord tells us, when you throw a banquet and don't invite the important people, go out of the street and invite everybody. Invite the people, the strangers. Invite the untitled, the people without a claim. Invite them into the banquet. And you'll entertain angels. And that's what I'm finding. I almost want to cry as I'm saying this, and I'm not going to, because you can tell I have an awful lot of makeup on. Those of you who have stayed on my friends list, you are beautiful people. And I am so sorry I did not know that. I didn't engage with you more. That I diverted my time and energy to people that I thought. You know, here's the deal. I started that social media platform largely as a way to reveal who I am as a person so that you would feel comfortable doing business with me. I mean, after all, I was running an independent financial services practice for, 12 years. I'm dealing with your money. You have to trust me. So that's why I got onto social media. It was a business move for me. So I accepted everybody because you never know who's going to be a client, right? But I also then invited who I thought was important to the banquet. I didn't invite everybody. I didn't invite the non-titled. I didn't invite the lowly of society. I didn't do as the Lord asks us to do. I judged. I determined who was worthy in his kingdom. And he has shown me, beautifully so, because you folks have turned my newsfeed into a beautiful, beautiful display of humanity. And you've loved on me. You have interacted with me more. You're engaging with each other. It is what I really want more than anything, especially now that I'm semi-retired and get the freedom to kind of be whoever and whatever I want. I want to be plugged in a community. I want to know my community. I want to know you. I want to know how I can serve you. I want to know how you can serve me. I want to know how we can encourage each other. I want to know how we can share truths with each other. I want to know how we can correct in the way that people who love each other correct each other, because a good father, a good parent, disciplines his children. So this has been one heck of a learning process for me. I thank you for those of you who have remained my friends, who have told me, please, Cassandra, don't delete me. It's sweet of you. No, you don't have to click on everything all the time. I don't think I'll be deleting much more for a while. Let me get to know you. If I'm not interacting with you enough, tell me, I still have over 1,000 friends, I think. And remember what I said? We really can't handle more than about 125. So I really should get it down to 125. But I'm exhausted. It was a lot of work. And I pray that you will use the example. I will give you the link to the app that I use. You can go, if you use my link. I don't know what I get. I signed up for the affiliate thing, whatever. I think I get some points or something. And maybe my points give me a discount. I honestly don't know. My point is, I will put the app link in here. Go ahead and do it yourself. It's fascinating. You will learn about yourself. Be your own best case study. It is part of how you increase your happiness. You get gut level honest about what you know and what you don't know. Data, facts, and stats that you have or don't have. Things you largely need to unlearn. What you think you know that just ain't so. It's going to help you get clear on how you feel about things. And then therefore, what actions you will or won't take. Your emotional quotient. What are you willing to do based on your feelings? And for me, yes, this entire social media platform is a lot about my God quotient. Because God will use all things for his good. What the enemy intends for evil, for those of you that left social media, left Facebook because it's evil, God can use it for good. And in my world, God is using it for good, and I'm so thankful. I'm thankful to you. So I pray this was insightful, informative. I did not script this. I did write some notes so I could remember some of the lessons learned for you. And again, I really can't say it enough. Thanks for being my friend. Shalom.